Welcome to Power Conversations and Connections with Susan, where we talk life, the beauty and vulnerability on the journey to self-love and evolving into our best selves. And once again, I come to you with a simply dynamic guest. My guest for this evening is Denise Armstrong.
Yeah.
Denise is a real estate mogul here in Jacksonville and beyond. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule
Thank you.
to come and speak. So
Thank
Denise,
you.
introduce yourself.
Thank you. First, I have to thank you so much for even giving me this opportunity. Everything about you is incredible, so let me get that out the way. But I am Denise Armstrong. I'm a business coach, and I'm a real estate investor and developer. And I help entrepreneurs scale their business. I help families be able to build wealth. I help women get started in real estate so they can start early retirement and so they can build wealth for their families. And my passion is just helping people move out of their own way so they can be their best self. So that's why I'm here.
Yes, absolutely. So I met Denise at an event, at a networking event. There was automatic chemistry, just instant chemistry. Really love what you're doing and your focus. And one of the things that I've learned is there's been a lot of getting to where you are, right? And that's what I want to talk about. This evening we're going to talk about grit and grace, embodying resilience on the path to your dreams. Because every time I see you, that's what I think, that's what I see. And as I get to know you more and get to know more of your story, I understand that one word, if I had to describe you, is resilient. So you're living the dream, right?
Yeah.
You're living the dream, multiple six figures and beyond. You've got a real estate company, you've got property, and you got a wonderful family. And people see that. They see the exterior.
The outside.
But I think there might be something behind getting to that place where you are now. Help us to understand what has propelled you on your path.
Honestly, my family. It was something about growing up and seeing my family not reach their full potential. It really did something to me even as a young age, because I would hear how great my mom was and how great my grandmother is, and I would hear her preach to people and speak to people, but I still knew that it was more. And I was just like, what is it, that missing piece that gets us past that certain point? And I knew automatically that one driving force is just to be able to prove that my family can go to the next level. Just to be able to prove that against all odds, that you can be everything that you want to be no matter what. And I saw so many different obstacles stopping people, stopping family members. And I'm like, what is it that keeps people just stopped just right here when they have so much more potential?
So I want to ask you, you saw a lot of stoppage, boundaries, blockages that people didn't get over. What made you say, I'm going to get over? No matter what it is, I'm going to find a way. So where did that come from?
My grandmother used to always say, how many things that she didn't get to do. And she was just like, man, if I had to do it all over again, I would live life to the fullest. And so for me, it was the inspiration of, I know that I want more and I refuse to live below anymore. And so it was just that, it was like some kind of fire in me. And I know that I believe in breaking generational curses.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I knew that it was some kind of fire in me that was different about me. And I was always a firecracker even as a young age. It was like I always wanted more. I always, wanted more opportunities. And I was always going. And I really realized it was just meant for me to be a pillar in my family, to really push my family to that next level. And I believe I was born for a time as this, even at a young age. It was like God would always speak to me like daughter of Zion. It would be prophesied to me and people would speak into my life. And I'm like, I knew that I had to be a separation. And it was like something about me that I was like, I refuse to not have more than enough. And I literally took that and I ran and I didn't look back.
And in the process of running, you know, I know for me,
Yeah.
I've hit some pretty big drops. And I've had those, what I call, now it's great, because sometimes when you get to the other side,
Yeah.
you have those I remember wins, right? But in the midst of it, you know, you hit that drop.
Yeah.
How did you, what mentally, you talked about, you know, having your faith and having your
Yeah.
trust in God and being spoken to and spoken over as a young child. So I know spiritually
Yeah.
that built you up. But even when we are spiritual, even when
Yeah.
we have great faith, we sometimes don't trust ourselves
Yeah.
to put that into action. So what did you do when you decided, hey, I'm not only going to trust God, because I think between trusting God and trusting me, trusting Him is the easy part.
Yeah.
Trusting me to do what He's telling me to do
That
is the hard part.
Yeah.
How do you get over that when you hit that roadblock?
I put myself in position. That was the one key thing I always knew, even as a young age, that it had to be more than just me. So I would strategically place myself around people and in situations that refuse to let me sink and settle.
Yes.
Yep.
So the epitome of get in the room around people who are where you want to be. And I remember, you know, in corporate now, you're an entrepreneur now. How many years have you been on the entrepreneur side?
Since 2016.
16. So before that, you were a corporate.
Yeah, I was in a corporate America.
What I call corporate loves.
Yes.
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 So that breaking barriers.
Yeah.
How did you handle ascending in that corporate ladder? Because, you know, a lot of times we get things imposed upon us, and I mean I mean women, I mean black women,
Yes.
in particular women of color.
Yeah.
We have things that we have to overcome in corporate America that others do not. That tenacity, that resilience, what did you do to make sure that not even in this environment will you hold me to where you think I need to be?
Yeah. For me, honestly, just coming from a teen parent, that right there, I felt like I had so much to prove. And I think I kept that chip on my shoulder on purpose. And every time I had an opportunity, I knew who I was doing that for. And I had already was like, you can't put limitations on me. You can't stereotype me. And I'm getting emotional about it. I was just like, you can't do that. And I refuse to be a product of any environment or any statistics. And I literally kept that on my shoulder, and I intentionally went into the game strong. And I already knew what I was up against, so I knew I had to be better. I knew I had to be 10 times better, and I knew I had to work harder, and I knew I had something to prove. So sometimes those things that you go through is so important to sometimes have them on the side, because that's when you get weary, you look over to them, you're like, no, I have a purpose. I'm on a mission.
Correct. And I think one of the things that you said sometimes is forgotten.
Yeah.
Not just the chip, but knowing what you're going into.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're speaking about on the corporate side or even on the entrepreneur side. When you understand, you have this is not going to be a piece of cake, but that doesn't mean I can't do it.
Right.
And it also doesn't mean that it's always going to be hard.
Right.
You know, I tell people sometimes success doesn't always, every step is not hard. But if you go in with rose-colored glasses, you know, and what I call thin skin, that chip that you're talking about, you know, that was thick skin. I described when I first went to college. I met a friend who she was just the polar opposite. First of all, I'm black. Yeah. She was high yellow, still high yellow till today. I was from an average family. She was from a rich family. I worked part-time. She couldn't work. She was told you know, like daddy wasn't going to allow her to work. She was in school. Oh. But she was very soft. Yeah. You know, and you would say things and I'm like, I won't say her name, but I'm like, girl, I, on the
Okay.
other hand, that chip,
Mm-hmm.
it was very hard. And you could drop a brick from the sky and I'd ask you
Yeah.
what else you have, right?
Right.
So it served me, but at some point, I had to let it a little bit of it go. So I absorbed some of her softness
Yeah.
and gave her some of my hardness. So when
Mm-hmm.
you talk about the chip and having that understanding of what you're going into,
Mm-hmm.
did in the process, did any mentors or anyone along the way, whether
Yeah.
on the corporate or the entrepreneur
Yeah.
side, look at you and say, and from a mentor, you know,
Yeah.
when we choose mentees,
Mm-hmm.
we know there's something there,
Yeah.
right? We know there's something there,
Mm-hmm.
and we know there's something more to be there. And so we want to nurture what is
Yeah.
there and push out
Yeah.
what's not.
Yeah.
Mentors, mentees, how have they played a role in helping you to maintain that resilience towards your dreams?
A major role, because I was a big, and I'm still working through this, a big people's pleaser, because I'm always trying to prove that I'm somebody, I'm important, or, you know, I'm not like everyone else, or I'm not like what people think that I am. And when you're in corporate America or entrepreneurship, like, you do have to be able to be not only just resilient, but you can't really care about what other people think and how they feel about you, because it really will shift your focus, and then you will be living for people instead of living for yourself and living your purpose out. And so I really had to have someone in my life that constantly just reminded me that the only person I'm proving something to is me. That's who I'm proving something to. And the world just gets to experience the greatness that comes from me.
And I love that, that they get to experience the
Yeah.
greatness. You are absolutely correct when you say a lot of times, because of where we come from, or not where we come from,
Yeah.
but the background,
Yeah.
you know, that we come from, we have that I'm going to prove, you know, myself. For some of us, it could be detrimental because we go too far,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
In the people pleasing. But one of your platforms, one thing that
Yeah.
is consistent in your platform, you say killing comparisons.
Yeah.
Tell us, where did that emanate from, killing comparison, and why is that so very important to your mission and what you do?
Coming out of that people pleasing, you know, was a big force, but God really placed it on my heart, because when I connect with women all over, when I connect with people all over, I realize that that is one driving factor and one big detrimental factor to people, is that just like they see me now and they don't see the times where I cried on the bathroom floor, they don't see the times where I'm like, I wasn't sure if I should be doing this, you know, or maybe I need to go back and just be running a company, maybe I shouldn't be doing a company. All of the back and forth or emotional transition that comes with life and relationships and children and families and stuff like that. And they compare what they see on the internet to their life. And I'm like, no, baby. You know, and that is the reason why people don't go over that hump. And I'm like, no, you have to be able to kill comparisons, because you don't know the other woman's story.
And you never know, and I'll let you continue, but I used to think that, you know how when you're in corporate and you're going for a job, you're applying for positions.
Yeah.
I mean, you get all the way up. I've gone all the way up to the second, 10th round, only me and another person, and not gotten the position. And I used to think, why me? Why not me?
Yeah.
Right? Why did this happen to me? And then a friend of mine told me, and she's very spiritual, she said, you don't know how long that other person has been waiting for their opportunity.
Yeah.
You don't know what has happened in their life.
Yeah.
They may need it more than you do, right? And so I kept that
Yeah.
in the back of my head. And so I don't compare myself.
Yeah.
I compare myself to me. But it's difficult if you don't have something,
Yeah.
to hold on to.
Yeah.
It's easy to look on the internet and see, like we said, if you look on the surface, you see, oh my God, they've got it going together. And forget that you're a human
Right.
behind that drive. And so
Right.
therefore there's probably some things that you've had to do to get to your point. So killing comparison is really, really important to you.
Yeah. And I see, so I mean, it's a big factor into so many women today. And I'm like, man, if we could just connect and we can see each other's superpowers and we can be able to exchange strengths, and your weakness is my strength, and we'll be able to exchange that power. We're ultimately we're still all building for our families.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like if we could get past, which I don't know where that shift was that happened, where women were just put against each other, and it was just like it's always what you have, what you have, what you got going on, or why her and why not me, instead of being able to see how amazing we are individually and be able to speak into each other and work together so we can commonly get to the top a whole lot faster than me trying to climb just alone.
Yes. And I agree. I think when you say where does that start, I'm going to talk about this. My granddaughter is 5, right? And at 5 years old, she's smart, she's beautiful. We tell her beautiful on the inside and the outside, right? She's got affirmations and all of these things that we speak over her, talk very positively in her life. And yet, she has come home and said, I didn't do like she did. Or why didn't they? Comparison. And she's 5.
Wow.
Now, we don't teach her that. But somewhere along the line, she picked that up. And so for me, immediately, me and my daughter, we combat that, because at 5.25, I need to kill that thing. So I think we also have to be aware of outside forces. Because we live out in the world, we have to be aware of outside forces that feed knowingly and unknowingly. Because I'm very careful about what I say out of my mouth. You're probably very careful about what you say out of your mouth, particularly in your household around your children. But there's that outside force. So I think that is part of where the comparison comes in, and part of where our job is to show that it's not necessary.
Right.
In the events that you give, in the things that you post, in the transparency. I'm not a lot different from you. No. Like I cry. I doubt. I'm fearful. Sometimes I just determine that no matter what, I'm going to keep going.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. So when you think of that keeping going, what was a milestone for you? Not a particular age. You transition from corporate to entrepreneurship. Of course, that comes with a whole nother ball of things.
Definitely.
What was the milestone where you decided completely, like, this isn't a thought for me? I don't compare myself to anyone other than myself. Particularly in real estate. Being a black woman, a mogul in real estate.
I think probably about 2 years ago, honestly. It was recent, probably about 2 years ago when I first got into some real deals on my own. And I was just like, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, like, I can do this. This is different. And I was like, man, like, I just was like, I can literally take the limits off of my life. And I'm like, even though I thought I was going to be doing this, because I was been a business coach, helping people. I've been working for the bank. I've been doing all those things for so long, but I always knew I wanted to tap into real estate. The crazy thing is that my family, like my great-great-grandmother, had a farm and had so many different things. So my grandmother tells me, she was like, I see this passion in you, but it's from your great-great-great-great-grandmother, that used to own land and all these things. Because I'm like, well, where is this coming from? Where is this come from? And so, she was telling me about that, and the more I started asking questions about my family, I just started overwhelmingly, it started all making sense to me. I'm like, I'm supposed to be bringing this whole thing together. And I think that moment I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And my husband was speaking into my life, and he was like, man, women don't know that they can do this. Like, you really can take this thing. You know, it was like women, they have money,
So
they're
he
trying
was
to
in
do.
real estate when you met him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we actually connected in real estate. Yeah, doing real estate together. He had a home down there, and then I was connecting, working on credit. I had a home buying program, and so I was down there a lot because I actually moved from Atlanta to here. When I was a market manager for Home Depot, they moved me here, so the connection was always back and forth. And so yeah, he was into real estate. He was flipping one of his houses down there, and I went there, and he ended up selling the house, and it was just like the rest was history. Like, we just stayed connected. So it was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. So it just kind of all made sense. It was like everything in my life around the time that I was deciding to do different things, it just started coming together. And I think that's the missing piece that people don't understand. It's like, if you just keep going, the pieces will flow. I promise you, the pieces will come together, and it'll make sense even when it don't make sense. And my dad used to tell me this thing. He was like, well, if you're trying too hard, that you're probably doing it the wrong way. However it's supposed to be done, it's easy to do it that way.
Light and easy.
Yes.
Light and easy, because, and that just reminds me of, when I call it, when I get peace about a thing,
Yeah.
I know God's involved. And he said he's never, ever, ever an orchestrator of confusion.
No.
Right? And I think that's really so true, that when you begin to know that you know, that you know that you know,
Yeah.
you can get away from, the comparing, and what is in you, can come out and rise and be at the forefront. The other thing that you have, that some women who are listening to this may not have, is a loving, nurturing, caring partner.
Yeah.
In life and in
that.
business. You guys happen to be, in the same
blessed,
field.
yeah.
What encouragement do you give them if they are out here and they haven't yet met their king?
Yeah.
To keep going.
Yes. The encouragement I truly have is to get around the right people. Even if it's not the king yet, which the king will come, which I will say, he found me working. You know what I mean? That is a thing.
Say that again.
Okay, he found me working.
Found him working. Yes.
And that was the attraction to him. For him, he was telling me that he was like, your standards was high. He was like your standards alone. I was like, yes, that's my wife right there. He saw my passion and what I was doing, and he knew that I had already made up my mind. He saw the confidence in me that I want to do.
And you were going to do it with or without him.
Yes.
And so
yes.
I want you all to hear that.
Yes. Yes, please.
The standards, your standards, and I talk about that all the time.
Yes.
Anything you do, you're setting a standard.
Yes.
Or you're setting a standard.
Yes, exactly.
Either way. So whatever you want to attract to, you have to set a standard for yourself.
You have to set a standard.
You were working on your dream.
Yeah.
You were pushing forward and achieving. You had come to the realization that, hey, I could do this. Maybe not in the mindset quite once he started to really nurture it, but you had the courage.
Yeah,
I had the courage. You had the courage to take something on. So oftentimes we want things to come to us.
Yeah.
Well, resiliency and pushing through doesn't just happen.
No.
It is really a mindset. It's a conviction where you say, and you truly believe, knock down 10 times, get up the 11.
Yes.
You know that you're going to have days that are bad days. You're going to have days where you wonder, what in the world have I gotten myself into? Am I made for this? If you're walking it and you believe it, then you're made for it.
Exactly.
And you can do it.
Exactly.
So if you don't have, your king, just keep doing it, because keep moving forward because you're not promised one anyway.
Yeah, no.
Right?
No.
We know that God loves the union and that's what he has designed it for.
Yes.
But all of us don't get that opportunity.
Right.
You know?
And it doesn't take away from your greatness either.
Right. Everyone doesn't get the opportunity. But it never should take away from the fact that you should keep going.
You keep going and just go ahead and prepare. I would say that because I was in a season of preparing. I didn't know that I was going to meet him, but I literally was preparing.
That's right.
I was working on my tone. I was working on, just my attitude, my delivery, what does a wife look like? I'm like, if this is what I want, what type of woman do I want to become right now? Am I ready? Because you can't just, just get ready when it happens. If you start preparing now, I promise you, the king will see that in you, especially if you're trying to attract the king. He will see that.
Preparation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and then you have to learn and apply. We're talking about grit and grace, embodying resilience on the path to your dream. And one thing I want to say about that is the dream is out there, but to get to the dream, you have a life. Not just the dream. You've got life, you've got circumstance, you've got vision, you've got all of those things that play a role.
Yeah.
You don't just chase a dream in a singular line and nothing else, impacts that. And one of the things, that Denise has talked about is preparation. Preparation is key for anything. Just like you set a strategy for a career, you should set a strategy if you want to love corporate. You should have a strategy when you're doing entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
It should stretch you, but be realistic. So remember the list we used to make? 6'2", this color, this weight, this amount of income.
Right.
That may or may not.
No, may
right?
not.
Because when we do that, we take the humanness off of people, right?
Exactly.
So, Denise, you are doing great things for women in Jacksonville and beyond. Tell us about some of the initiatives that you're involved in where you are pushing that resilience into other women so that they don't just settle for whatever. Not necessarily pushing them into places they don't want to go. But places they want to go but may not necessarily be there yet. What are some of the initiatives that you're using to do that?
The thing is that I have them dedicate things to themselves every day to be about this lifestyle. Because if you don't work on your mindset, everything else that you're trying to do will not happen. It will debacle. And the moment something happens that make you uncomfortable, your whole day is over with. And life is short and time is short. So if you can't conquer your emotions and your feelings, you can't conquer your day, you can't conquer your dreams and goals. And that's where that year 1 and year 2 and year 3 starts to happen.
And year 10.
Yes, and year
standing in the same shoes.
Yeah. So I make sure that my people are daily doing self-love, because I consider that self-love. I'm like, doing a strategy for yourself and your mindset and your affirmations is really important. And then I make them do something that makes them uncomfortable. A lot of people are uncomfortable meeting new people. A lot of people are uncomfortable being vulnerable. So I have them go back way even into their past to find out, how did they feel growing up, because that has a lot to do with where they are now and the different needs. And then finding out what their love language is, because not only is there a love language for a partner, but there's a love language for yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you have to know how to love and on yourself and be intentional about yourself. So I make them get uncomfortable. I make them, not make them, I encourage them, because I didn't make them do anything, but I encourage them, and I put different things in place and plans in place that they can be intentional with themselves. And then I create, like I say, I have Invest With Her Club, so I try to create spaces where I give the women an opportunity to connect with other women so they can find out, where sometimes it's just one conversation sparks that that dream back up, and get you back going in that fire. That's why I tell people it's not good to be alone, and I understand when God talks about that, not just in relationships, but in partnerships. And you can meet another woman, and believe it or not, she doesn't have to be, your partner like that, but you have no idea. One woman can come in your life and just, you can accomplish so many different things.
Because of the connection. I always tell people, you don't have to be surrounded by a lot of women, or a lot of people, period.
Yeah.
You just have to have one, one person other than you. And as a coach, that's really important. I tell people, I can't, I only pull out of you. I do one or two things. Pull out of you what's in you, or put in you what you want to be in you. But the work is on you. The action, the results, oftentimes when we do that as coaches, say, oh, you did this for me, and you did, and I have to remind them, you got the result that you did because you did the work.
Right, exactly.
So I want you all to hear that.
Please.
She pushes them, she encourages them, she gives them opportunities to excel, to recraft how things can be in their life. But ultimately, the work is up to us.
It is.
Here at Power Conversations, we are talking about life. We're talking about the journey on the road, to self-love, self-awareness, self-discovery, and evolving into our best selves. And one would think that you can do it without roadblocks. That's not going to happen. Your word may not be resilient. When you look at the person who inspires you, or the person that you want to mentor you, you may not see resilience in them, but look for something that attracts you to that person. What is it about them? If you have awareness of self, that's where it all has to start. But if you have awareness of self, then I can look at my sister and see, oh like it's
something about her.
Something about her. And so you dedicate the time and you connect. So if you're not pushing yourself and you're not making it all on your own, it's probably because you're not supposed to be on your own.
Right.
So open yourself up to seeing in other women what you want to be and what you can be, and follow the path. That was given to you. Denise speaks about early on, she knew something was different. She had two choices. She could think, I'm different, oh my, I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to be different. Or, I'm different. Yes, what does this mean? And she chose to keep pushing forward. So, and that is why she's at a place now where, she's living the dream. More of the dream to come, of course.
Of course.
But leave us with some final words, Denise, as we sign off.
Your obstacles are your secret weapon. The things that you go through that you think are the hardest moments in your life are the things that's going to make you the greatest person the world has ever seen. And live with that. And I promise you that. So even in those moments where you're not sure, understand even in you're not sure that you're sure, So believe that.
Mindset is everything. And perspective is everything. So we want to thank you for joining Power Conversations and Connections. Denise Armstrong, where can they find you on social media?
Yes, on all platforms, Denise Armstrong, Instagram, Denise Armstrong, on Facebook, Denise Armstrong, and you can look up our group at www.investwithherclub.com, Invest with Her Club on Instagram, and Invest with Her Club. We do have a group on Facebook. So you guys look us up, connect. Collaboration over competition, and of course we're killing comparisons.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Here at Power Conversations and Connections, we want to bring to you women who are making a difference, to speak life into and give you guidance and direction. I thank you sincerely for joining the conversation. We will be all across social media at Susan R. Appleton, Power Conversations and Connections on YouTube, across all platforms. Check out our merch site at the srastore.com and join us next time for the conversation. like, share, and subscribe. Uplift another woman as you continue to strive forward. Thank you for joining the conversation. Y'all have a great day.